Blinded by wealth. Part 8. 2 years had passed, yet for Abena, time had lost all meaning. Days blurred into nights, weeks into months, months into years. She remained trapped within the cold, desolate ritual room. Her existence reduced to an endless cycle of pain and horror. Every 3 months, it happened again. The dark rituals, the cruel incantation, the serene cut across her skin as her blood dripped onto the unholy symbol carved into the floor. She had lost count of how many times she had screamed, how many times she had begged for mercy, only to be met with Mr. Aqua's mocking laughter. The walls, once terrifying and suffocating, had now become her only companions. She could trace every crack, every stain of dry blood, every haunting shadow that never truly left. Escape was a fantasy she had long clung to, but no matter how many times she tried, she never succeeded. She had fought, she had screamed, she had even tried to run. On rare occasions, she was allowed to move freely within the mansions. But each time Mr. Aqua caught her with an almost supernatural ease, as if he could sense her every move. And each time he would press her against the wall, his breath cold against her ear, his voice dripping with venom. "Do you want me to kill your family?" he would whisper, his lips coiling into a wicked smile. "If you dare to escape, not only will you die, but your family will too. And I will stop sending them money. Your father will rot, your mother will suffer. They will curse the day you were born." The threats had drained the fight from her, little by little, until she had nothing left. She no longer had the strength to resist. The guilt of her family potential suffering weighed heavier than the pain inflicted upon her body. What if they were truly living the life she had always dreamed for them? What if her sacrifice meant that her father was getting treatment, that her mother was never hungry again, that her siblings were going to school? She closed her eyes and imagined them in a ground house, wearing fine clothes, eating meals she had never been able to eat. If that was the case, then her suffering was a small price to pay. She would endure. She had to. But Abena didn't know the truth. She didn't know that back in the village, her family was not living in luxury or wealth, nor even comfort. They were drowning in suffering, worse than ever before. Mr. Aqua had never sent them a dime, not a single kobo. Her father, once a strong man, had withered into a fragile shell of himself, his body ravaged by sickness and grief. The light in his eyes had dimmed, his strength drained by the weight of guilt and regret. Every day he laid on a thin, tattered mat, barely able to lift his head, whispering Abena's name like a prayer. Her mother was no better. The once proud woman who had dreamed of a better future now spent her days in endless sorrow. Her body had grown thinner, her once lively spirit now crushed beneath the burden of uncertainty. Every night, she knelt on the floor of their crumbling home, her hands gripping the hem of her old wrapper, her tears soaking the ground as she begged God to bring back her daughter. She did not know where Abena was. She did not know if she was alive or dead, but she prayed. She prayed harder than she had ever prayed in her life, believing, hoping that one day her child would return. Then one day, an unexpected visitor arrived in the village. Kofi, the man who had once promised Abena a future before vanishing into the chaos of the city. He had spent years working tirelessly, struggling to build a life for himself. He was not as wealthy as Mr. Aqua, but he was stable, well off enough to take care of Abena and her family. He had returned, driving a small but respectable car, bringing bags of provision, gifts, and hope. But as he stepped out of the vehicle, his smile faded. The sight before him was not what he had expected. The family he had once known, full of hope and laughter, was now drowning in misery. Kofi's heart clenched as he stepped into their home. It was smaller now, more broken, a shadow of what it had once been. He took in the frail figure of Abena's father, the gaunt, hollow-eyed woman who was once her mother. He had expected joy, but instant there was silence. Something was wrong. "Where is Abena?" he asked, forcing a smile. "Is she in the river, the market?" But no one answered him. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, pressing against his chest like a stone. He turned to Abena's mother, who struggled to hold his gaze, her lips trembling as she fought back tears. It was only when Kofi asked again, his voice more urgent, that the silence broke. Abena's mother fell to her knees, her cry racking her frail body. We forced our daughter into a marriage, Kofi," she choked out. "We gave her away to a man for wealth, but now we don't know where she is. He gave us a fake address, a fake phone number. He deceived us." Her voice cracked under the weight of her grief, but Kofi barely heard the rest. The words echoed in his mind, a sharp, unforgiving blade carving through his heart. For a moment, he thought it was a joke, a cruel prank. He forced out a shaky laugh, stepping back, looking around as if expecting Abena to appear. "This is a lie," he said, shaking his head. "Abena, I know you are hiding somewhere. I'm sorry for not keeping my promise. I should have written. I should have come back sooner. Please come out. Let's talk." But no one moved. And when he turned to Abena's mother again, the sincerity in her tears-filled eyes sent a chill through his soul. The truth crashed into him with full force. She was gone. They had given her away, and now she was lost. A deep, burning rage ignited in Kofi's chest, spreading like wildfire, his hands clutched into fists, his nails digging into his palm, his entire body trembling with fury. He couldn't believe it. They had sold her to a man they knew nothing about. They had traded her away for promises that had never come true. His voice was low, but it dripped with anger, with pain, with betrayal. "If I don't find Abena," he said slowly, his eyes burning with fury, "I will never forgive any of you. Never. And I will make sure you all pay for it, for whatever you have done to her." Without another word, he turned on his shoes and stormed out of the house, his heart pounding with determination. He had wasted too much time. He had let too much slip through his finger, but no more. He would go to the city. He would track down this man, no matter how long it took, no matter what it cost him. He would find Abena. He would make sure he find Abena. As he drove away from the village, his jaw tightened, his hands